Hey guys, Connor Tracy here, Big Red SEO. Here I am. Hey. Okay, here we go. So today it is just me. Kim is not here. Kim is in California at an event, so you just got me to deal with. So sorry. All right, I got some brief housekeeping just to do real quick. Just got to share my post out to the thing so people know I'm here. You guys know I'm here, but the other people. So if you're watching this on replay or whatnot, just put a comment down below that you're watching it on replay. But this is Big Red SEO. I'm Connor Tracy. Kim normally starts with hello world, maybe? I don't know. You guys tell me. So anyways, happy that you guys joined. So today it's the first week of the month. So the things we're going to be covering this time around are updates. So whether it's the Google updates, WordPress updates, Bing, SEO, if you've got questions, I'll try and answer as best as I can. So go ahead and use this time to what you need to. So let's go ahead and jump in with some of the stuff that's happening. Let's see what we've got. So I broke it out into a couple different areas. Number one, whiskey. Everybody's got their drink with them. Today I've got it's a Jameson Special Reserve 12 years. So that's what I'm doing today. I don't know what you're drinking, but could be water, could be soda, but cheers. I got an ice cube. All right. Let me get rid of that ice cube. There we go. All right, let's switch this back to where it's supposed to be. And all right. It's crazy trying to do all this on my own. And I said it the last time we had this, that Kim allows things to keep moving along, and while I'm doing all the setups and changes. So today I'm doing everything, and it is what it is. So a couple of things that I wanted to cover. One was some stuff happening with WordPress, and the other one was stuff happening inside of Google themselves. I do have notes here on the screen, so you will see my eyes darting around, but I promise I'm not ignoring you and playing a video game. All right, so the main things, or the big things that happened in the last, let's say, 30 days, so the beginning of September until now. So one of the big things that happened was that Automattic, and they're the guys that make WordPress, so they're the owners and creators of all of that, they purchased Tumbler earlier this September for $3 million. And Yahoo ended up, they actually purchased it in 2013 for $1.1 billion, and Automattic picked it up for $3 million. I can't say that Yahoo knew what they were doing. But along with that purchase, they also purchased a thing called Zero BS CRM. So it looks like WordPress is going to develop their own CRM. It's going to be packaged as Jetpack CRM and then becomes its own full tool. So a lot of people use HubSpot, and that integrates with WordPress, or you might use Soho or things like that. But now WordPress or Automattic is going to come out with their own customer relationship management or client relationship management tool. So that could be kind of cool. Interested to see where that's going to go. Let's see what else we've got here. There's a proposal from WordPress right now that they're looking to force an update. Anybody who has older than 4.7, a WordPress 4.7, they're looking at forcing those people to upgrade automatically to that version. That's good and bad. It's good because things would be secure. It's bad because a lot of people are on those older versions because of compatibility issues, whether it's with their theme or their hosting, their PHP version, things like that. Speaking of hosting, it's the beginning of the month. Change your passwords, make a backup of your website, make sure all that stuff is secured. Check your plugins, make sure those are all up to date. If you have issues with that, go ahead and contact me. I mean, we do plugin updates and things like that. But if you run into something that looks kind of weird, go ahead and let me know, and maybe I can be of some guidance on there. So WordPress did have an update. It's the 5.2.3. It was a security update. There were 29 fixes involved in that update. And one of them was an update to the old JQuery version. So that had a couple of exploits in there that allowed people to gain admin access. So go ahead and make sure those updates are done. WooCommerce also updated at the same time. They're now in 3.7. And one of the cool things that they did, they changed their coupon area. So before, when you were creating coupons, it was time consuming. You had to create the coupon, figure out what the coupon name was going to be. Now they've got a whole generator put in there, and the process is a lot quicker. So check up on that and check out that new version. So that's WooCommerce 3.7. The only big plugin exploit that I've heard about, one that was worse than others, I guess is the way to say it, was a plugin called Advanced Access Manager. So this is a plugin that a lot of designers and agencies will install, and it's kind of to protect the site itself. So they lock out certain areas so that you're not getting into it. Maybe you have the management and maybe there's a writer. You don't want them to see certain things. So you use this plugin and that'll block certain areas. Well, unfortunately, there's an exploit in there that allows file access. And as a result, you can then override the settings and gain full access to the system. So if you are using that, go ahead and make the new update. That's the only big exploit out there that I've seen from the plugins. We did have PHP My Admin. I know I posted that on my personal page a couple weeks ago. PHP My Admin, it's a database access tool. So you're able to manage your database, import, export, things like that. It comes standard with most hosting companies right now. So check in the back end, go into your control panel with your host, click on the PHP My Admin, and just make sure you're using a version that's higher than 4.9.0.2. So 4.9.0.2. Anything lower than that, it has an exploit in it that allows a hacker just to delete the entire server. Kind of a big exploit, if you ask me. As a hosting company or somebody who used to run a hosting company, that was always my fear, that somebody could access something on the server, kill or wipe everything out in one shot, and then I would have a couple hundred angry customers calling at the same time. So a lot of hosting companies have gone ahead and made those updates, but go ahead and check. If you've installed your own custom version, just make sure that's got the latest version so that your files and that of other people on the same server are not affected. So those are the main things there. WordPress 5.3, that's now in beta, and it's planned to be released in November. So if you have not started testing yet, you'll want to start testing to make sure your theme and your website is compatible with the new version. I believe it's November 12th or November 14th is when that comes out. Of course, don't update the day that it comes out unless you've already done all the testing. So as we get into the release candidates, that's when you can go ahead and start doing that. But just to be aware, November, that's when that's coming out. Just in time for the holidays and all the problems that are going to happen. Google always makes a big update right around the holidays, Thanksgiving time, and it hurts e-commerce websites as a result. So it looks like WordPress is going to do the same thing. So enjoy. Happy Christmas and all that fun stuff. So it's not that bad, really. But it can be. All right. So let's see the big stuff with Google this month. The big one in September, it's called the September 2019 Core Update. And basically, it was a big update that Google made to their algorithm. They make a massive one, usually 3 or 4 times a year. Normally, we get kind of cool names like the Farmer Update or the Penguin Update or the Medic Update. Google has decided that people are not allowed to name them anymore, and Google will give it the name. So Google, being the ever-proficient one, has named it the September 2019 Core Update. At least we know when it came out. So with the update, a lot of people are reporting ups and downs in terms of traffic or in terms of rankings. I'll be honest, looking at our client portfolio and looking at everybody's analytics and their keywords, we are seeing keywords, the number of keywords increase. So people are finding more keywords, and some of the keywords are moving up the list, but it's usually the long tail keywords. So we're talking a combination of 3, 4, or 5 words, not usually the main one. So if you're looking for, let's say, plumber in Omaha, that's not the one that was moving, but a plumber in Omaha for an office. Let's say, let's pretend that was the long tail keyword. That would have moved up or down positions. Like I said, we didn't see a whole lot from our end as being issues. We did see online, there's a handful of people reporting, especially from the legal industry. So the legal and dentist, for whatever reason, those were fluctuating pretty good. But a lot of the clients we deal with are small area business type thing, SABs. So you're talking about like a pest control company that's covering a particular area or things like that. We do have a handful of e-commerce sites that are on a national level. We didn't see any issues from that end either. So either we got something really right and got lucky on it, or it wasn't affecting our particular verticals. So that was the big update from Google. There's a few other things that have come out of their updates. One of them, which I'm really looking forward to, it's called the YouTube Key Moments. And it's currently in testing. They're using places like NBC. They're using, I think they're using Fox also with regards to speeches and things like that. But when we do a YouTube video, and if we're talking about a particular area, like right now, the YouTube key moments, what we'll end up doing is in the description, we'll put what the timestamp is for when that particular item is being discussed. So if we're 10 minutes into the video, that's the time that we'll put on the timestamp. What it does, it allows somebody to skip through an entire video. So if you've got a 30-minute video, it allows someone just to jump from section to section and just click a button and they're right at that spot. Well, Google is now allowing people to do that, and it'll now show up as dots across on your video so people can skip to those particular moments. It's still in testing. It is being rolled out to everybody, but currently it is being held for a select group of people. Mainly the big publishers. So once they've had their shot at it, everybody will see how it's supposed to work, and then it'll be released to the masses. So kind of looking forward to that. So that's the key moments. It'll be with timestamps and rich snippets and JSON and all the other code that your developers know. But so that'll be fun. Drink time. So the other big item, you may have heard, when you're dealing with links, we talk about no-follow and do-follow links. And a no-follow link is when you link out to a website, but you don't necessarily want to endorse that website. So you're posting a link for the user to go ahead and follow, but you're not saying, that I like these people or I want to endorse these people. So you think of it like a recommendation. So there was a setting that you could use called no-follow. And that's been used, basically it's been around since 2005. And what it was mainly used for, especially for advertising or promotional links. So if you had advertising on your website, you want to set that to a no-follow so that Google knows you're putting the link there for people, but it's not something that should be followed. It's not something that you're going to endorse, things like that. So when you're doing link building campaigns and you're getting links from other places back to you, you wanted those for the most part to be do follow or follow links. I've always set it up that you get a combination of follow links and no follow links. That's just standard in the way that we build links or gain links from other places. What the place does, so if we write an article and we send it out to a handful of places and they then decide to link to it, whether they link it with a do follow or a no follow, I don't really care. I just want it to be of benefit to their users, and then we're able to write another article and then get that shared out and things like that. So anyway, the new thing that has come out as of the end of last month, it's called the sponsored link and a UGC. So the UGC is a user-generated content tag. So just like you would use rel equals nofollow, now you can do rel equals UGC. Where that becomes beneficial, if you think of it in WordPress, for example, somebody has a bunch of comments at the bottom of the page, and those comments would then have a link out to some other website. Spammers love this method. It's a great way of building backlinks. It's a spammy way. It used to work. It still kind of does. It's frowned upon. It is black hat. Don't do it. You will get caught. You will be penalized. But now essentially what they can do within WordPress, the new version of WordPress that comes out, all of those links in the comments will now be UGC, or user-generated content. And that kind of sends an alert to Google that, hey, yeah, there's a link here, but don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. And that brings us back into the nofollow itself. It used to be a directive. You were telling Google, do not follow this link. Do not index anything on the other side. Well, now it's being considered a hint. So Google may go ahead and index it, or not index it, the landing page, but they may follow it to see what that page is all about, and then use that against your website or for your website. So, handful of things happening in there, but check up on that. That's the nofollow. It's the sponsored links and the UGC. All right. Where are we at on time here? I'm probably just blowing through time like crazy. I don't even see my timestamp. There we go. 15 minutes in. All right. Almost done talking. See, without Kim here, it won't be an hour today. It'll be in and out in 25 minutes, right? All right. Well, let's see what happens. All right. So I talked about the WordPress 5.3. That's going to have the user-generated content flag. So you definitely want to be doing that. Let's see. We have subdomain leasing. So this was a big thing over the last few years, where instead of building a website, if you think of like a lead generation type website, so in particular, if you think of garage door companies or locksmiths, those were the biggies that always went after this method, where basically somebody will rank a website really, really high, and then they contact each of the different distributors. Let's say garage door companies, for example. They'll contact them and say, hey, we'll lease the domain to you, and you'll be able to get the links and the leads and the stuff like that. That'll all be yours. So that is not an acceptable practice according to Google. Don't do it. It really puts a lot of power in the other person's hands, and it can come back to hurt you as a business. Lead generation, that's one thing. Spamming the system so that you get the leads, that's where Google has issues with that. But essentially, one of the things they used as an example was coupons.businessinsider.com. And basically, let's say Nike, for example, would lease the coupons subdomain for the next week, and they'd run a big campaign behind that. They'd use those links to then point back to their website. They're using the link juice or the domain authority of Business Insider to game the system to get those links high up on the list. That's pretty much no more. Google has been cracking down. They started in July. They started making announcements. In August, they kind of reinforced it. And then in September, they said, hey, we're really cracking down on things. So if you do have any of that going on, you'll want to make sure that stuff gets cleaned up and gets removed before your main site gets penalized. All right. Embedded images. And we've seen this over the years where you'll have an image on your website. Somebody else will want to use it. But rather than downloading the image and putting it up on their site, they just put a link. They'll put an image SRC, which is an image source. And they'll use that to pull the image directly from your site, which will show on theirs. It uses your bandwidth. So people would do this a lot in the photography world so that their bandwidth wouldn't get used up. It was really popular when web hosting packages were not unlimited or did not have 10 gigs of bandwidth. So it's not as popular now, but what has happened over the years from an SEO perspective is that may be considered a link into your site. Well, as of last week, Google has confirmed that is not a link. It will not be counted as a link coming to your website unless the person then links the image to your site also. So if you take a link from, or take an image from somebody else's website, you should link back to that website or link back to that image where it came from. Of course, if you're doing that, you should be asking for permission first. Taking somebody's images or content without permission is theft. It is a copyright issue, and you can get in trouble for it. I've helped many websites get taken down in that process. So just, be aware. All right. So embedding an image, it's not a link. Hot linking, not a link. It has to be in a link tag. So it has to have the ahref. If it doesn't have that, it's not a link, and Google doesn't consider it a link. All right. Old content, and we see this, old content on a new domain. So somebody will close down a business, let's say, and now they've got a new business, same name, same type of stuff, but it's on a different domain name. They can still use those articles that they wrote back in 2013, 2014. They can still use that even though the new domain was only registered last month. As long as that content didn't have penalties attached to it, you should be okay. That you can use those on the new site and not have a problem. If you had a manual penalty from Google at all, then yeah, moving the content is just, it's not worth anything. From the end of things of not worth anything, HTML sitemaps, if you're still making them, just go ahead and stop. The big sites, it's too complicated to use an HTML sitemap. Small sites, you would never need one. So Google has said not to use, or don't bother with, HTML sitemaps. XML sitemaps you should still use, and you should still submit those into the Google Search Console. So go ahead and take care of that. HTML sitemaps, we see it on a lot of older sites, big sites mainly. But the HTML ones, just go ahead and dump them. You don't need them anymore. Google doesn't use them from an SEO perspective, so kill it. All right. The big debate that's happening right now, actually. So we're October 4th, and for the last week or so, the big item has been H1 tags. So an H1 tag, it's your main title at the top of the page, and then you've got some content. Then you've got an H2, which is like a subheading. So H means heading. So heading 1 being your title, and then heading 2s and heading 3s down below. All right. Google has said, and let me back up. Over the years, it was always one H1 tag on a page. Okay, so you have one H1, you can have multiple H2s, but you should always have just one H1. Okay? Then HTML5 came along a couple of years ago, and now you could have multiple H1 tags on a page, and Google said that was okay. Well, this week, John Mueller has said, whether you use one tag or use multiple tags or don't use any at all, Google doesn't care. So that just took everything that has been used from an SEO perspective since I started back in the late 90s. You always had to have an H1. You put your keywords inside your H1, and those carry weight and value all the way through for your search engine rankings. Everything that I've done, everything that I've tested still shows that it carries some weight with regards to the rankings. Google says that it doesn't really matter. They'll figure out what's on the page. Bing, on the other hand, they still say use one H1, and they use that for ranking purposes. So when we build websites, we have one H1 tag at the top of the page. It has the keyword in it. Then you've got your opening paragraph, keyword is in there. And then you've got your H2s, 3s, and so forth. And keywords or similar phrases are in those sections for the most part. So while Google is saying, don't do this, do it. So, Emily's saying, whoa, what? Header tags don't mean anything anymore? Yeah. The entire community is up in arms and confused. by what Google has said. From 2017 or so, they kind of alluded to that you don't need to concentrate it as much. But still, even today, we still use that H1 tag. We still make sure it's on the page. You can use CSS to change the size of the tag if you wanted to, but we still strongly recommend putting it in there. It's all about content at the end of the day. Google wants content on the page, right? So there you go. Let's see. John Mueller in the news again, of course, for statements that he says on Twitter. The big one was, and I quoted it here, I strongly recommend new websites not to use m. sites. So over the years ago, if you had a mobile version of your website that was different than your regular version of the website, you could have like m.bigredseo.com. And we actually had one of those years ago. Back in 2013, 14, we had an m. version of our site. Due to mobile, their entire business model was built around this m. flag. Due to mobile now is completely redesigned, a whole new direction for what they've done. But basically, Google wants you to use a responsive design and not build a separate site for mobile and a separate site for desktop. So using those m. They strongly recommend. So read between the lines on that. Don't do it. Okay. It's kind of crazy because we had a phone call last week from a client saying they just wanted their mobile version of their site updated. Could we move them into an m. And we're like, well, no, we'd rather rebuild the website and do a full responsive design that it'll work on mobile, it'll work on iPad, and work on a desktop. That it's much better to do it that way. You'll only have one place to update things. They agreed, and that's what we're doing. But it's kind of crazy that conversation happened. We had that phone call, and now, like the next day or 2 days later, John Mueller came out and reinforced what we had said. For different reasons, of course, but reinforced our decision not to do that. Let's see. A big security issue that I believe is a security issue. Google doesn't for some reason. But on the Google Maps, so in order to make an edit on a business listing, you had an option that you could be a verified business owner, and that allowed you to make the changes on the page. You could suggest an edit, which basically, if you were suggesting hours changed from 8 a.m. to 11 to be 9 a.m. instead. You could make the suggestion that sent an email to the business owner, and they would then click a button to accept or deny that suggestion. Or Google would review it and things like that. Well, now you can make changes even if you're an unverified business owner. The part where I see this being an issue is that you'll have competitors out there going in and changing your hours, changing your phone number, changing your address, and Google may or may not just go ahead and accept those. So it's going to require a little bit of monitoring on your part, making sure that your stuff on Google is correct. Make sure your address, your phone number is correct. We've run into it on a Twitter issue a few years ago where somebody created a Big Red SEO Twitter handle. They called it Red Big SEO, but it showed up for our name, and as a result, they were posting different things. So we had to get that shut down a couple of times. But yeah, they were going directly after our name on it. So anyways, the unverified map edits, I think that's going to be an issue. So keep an eye on your listings for that. Google right now, it's just come out that you're able to do it. Definitely for unverified listings, I think it's a problem. I understand the ease of use. I know that Google screwed up and set 4 million or something local businesses offline. And that was a fiasco for 4 or 5 weeks. So maybe that's kind of the changes that they were trying to do for that. I don't know. But do keep an eye on your information in Google My Business. The Google Ads had a change. This is one that I don't agree with. It's something that I use on a regular basis. But inside of the Google Ads, you could see what position or the average position that your ad was in for whether it's a week or a month or whatever it was. That allowed you then to adjust your bid pricing so that if you were in position number 3, you could adjust your bid for a higher bid to take position number 2, which would be at the top of the page, or position number 1. Sometimes you don't want to be at the top. We have some clients where we don't want those top listings. It costs $20 a click. We don't want that. We want them at the bottom of the page where it only costs $5 a click. But Google has decided that the average ad position is not being used, and therefore they've deleted it. So that information is now gone. It'll be interesting what happens from this end. In our reports, the only thing now we can track from that end is what the ad spend was and what the click-through rate is, and then adjusting from that point. But not having that average ad position, it kind of annoys me, but Google is always changing things, so you just kind of go with it. The other item that I have here, last item on my list, was the Google Search Console. If you log into your Webmaster Console, it's showing less links than what it was. So we have I think there's 50-something thousand backlinks that come into our website. It's mainly from forums and things like that we've participated in and provided help. Well, that got cut. I think it's now only showing about 40,000. And we've seen some reports from other people. Search Engine Roundtable, they had over 2 million links going to their website, and now they've got less than 1 million links. I think it's just a bug. Google is not devaluing that. They're not removing that information or anything like that. We believe it's just a bug that it's showing the wrong information. My project management system does the same thing. It will do work for somebody and it's $250. And the thing at the top, it says $72,000 is allocated in funds. We're like, no, it's $250. How did you even come up with $72,000? So I believe it's just strictly an item when it comes to the display of the information. Maybe they're not displaying some of the old junk links. I'll have to run a comparison and find out. But those are the big things that have happened. Again, the core update, that was the big one. If you've seen your rankings go up or down, go ahead and check that. The update was September 22nd to the 24th. Google said that it took a couple of days to roll out. So somewhere in that time frame, go ahead and check and see if your rankings have changed from that point. If your traffic has changed from that point, it could be part of that algorithm change. And if it has, let me know. Comment here or send me an email, Conor@BigRedSEO.com, CONOR@BigRedSEO.com. I think that's it. We're about 30 minutes. Again, Kim is not here. She's off in California enjoying the sun. No, she's not. She's working in California right now. And it's 50 degrees out here in Omaha. Yay. But, so, we're all done with all of that. I've got my whiskey. I'm going to go grab a cigar. If you have any questions, you found this useful, go ahead and leave a comment in here. What areas do you need more explanation on? Anything in here that shocked you? Go ahead and leave a comment there. And then, do you like this format? Should we keep this on Facebook, or should these technical ones be on YouTube? Maybe some feedback on that information too would be great. All right. So again, Conor Tracy, Big Red SEO. This was Facebook Friday, October 4th. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Have a good one now. Thanks.